Tonight's meeting. Today is Tuesday, January the 19th, 2021. The time is now 6 p.m. The Zoom meeting of the regular Zoom meeting of the City Council of the City of Trinidad will now come to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? States of America. To the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
and
liberty and justice for all. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Could I have a roll call, please?
Bono.
Here.
Goodall.
Here.
Priego.
Here.
Ogletree.
Here.
Shu. Here. Williamson.
Councilman Williamson is trying to dial in. I'm sorry, he's having difficulty, but he's trying to get in, and he will be joining in a moment. Sorry for interrupting.
Rico.
Thank you.
Here. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Does council have any changes or questions about the agenda? If not, entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Call a vote, please.
Bono.
Yes.
Goodall.
Yes.
Priego.
Yes.
Ogletree.
Yes.
Shu. Rico.
Item 3, policy items and staff reports. Mr. Valentine, do you have anything from staff?
No, Mayor, nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something myself. We are on the eve tonight of a new president that will be coming into our country, the United States of America. And I hope that he can do a good job for our country, and that the divisiveness that we have in this country will start to subside somehow. The people of the city of Trinidad, I hope that anybody that has differences, that they can come together and begin to see that this country is a great country. And we, and myself, I know, I will do whatever I can to continue to unify our city, especially, that I think is, which I think we already are there. So anyway, I want to say that, and hopefully that we all have good wishes for the President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. Item 4, petitions or communications, oral or written. Does anybody listening in need to have anything to say, please? Okay, on to item 5, consent agenda. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of January the 5th, 2021, and special meeting minutes of January the 11th, 2021. B, reappointment of Marjorie Kiefer to the Library Advisory Board. Ms. Kiefer, are you on? Okay, she's not there. Reappointment of Lawrence Kiefer to the Library Advisory Board. Mr. Kiefer, are you on? Item C, ratification of the Trinidad Fire 2021 through 2023 IAFF union contract. Item E, ratification of the Trinidad General Services 2021 through 2023 AFSCME union contract. Item F, ratification of the Trinidad Police 2021 through 2023 AFSCME union contract. And item G, of approval of first reading of an ordinance regulating the parking of recreational vehicles and setting a public hearing for consideration of said ordinance at 6 p.m. on February 2021. And just to let you know that that item was inadvertently, should have been on a separate item, but I talked to Audra, and what I'd like to do with that one is just have someone introduce, and then we'll proceed with a motion at the end of the consent agenda. So I just need someone, please.
I'll be happy to introduce.
Okay. Item H, approval of annual report and request to attach modification and recertification of common consumption area, a promotional association filed by Trinidad Entertainment District Incorporated. And there's one new attachment to that, and that was Curtis Wallach, Trinidad LLC. Item I, approval of the bills for $1,614,434.70. Item J, approval of the payroll January the 9th, 2021 through January the 22nd, 2021. An amount of $354,924.84. As you'll notice, there were two different payroll periods that were broken up in there. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that, but they did have to break those two up. Could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second, please.
Second.
Call a vote.
DeBono,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu, Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 6, public hearings. 6A, transfer of ownership of a hotel and restaurant liquor license filed by Mission at the Bell, LLC, at 134 West Main Street, Suite 14, formerly Mission at the Bell Incorporated. Hearing is now open. The operator, are you on tonight, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would someone please swear him in, please?
Yes. Will you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Turn it over to Mr. Downs at this time. Mr.
Thank you,
Downs?
Mayor. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good evening, Mr. Lucero.
How you doing, Les?
Good. How are you doing, Freddie? Good. So, sir, you are here representing the applicant, Mission at the Bell LLC.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Lucero, are you the sole member of that limited liability corporation?
Yes.
Okay, and we're talking about Mission at the Bell LLC is the limited liability corporation doing business as Mission at the Bell. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, sir, that is a Colorado LLC in good standing?
It is.
Okay. And I want to ask you, sir, and this came up briefly at the last council meeting when this was first called up, but did I form that limited liability corporation for you?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to make it clear to everybody that that is the case, but I would also mention to you, sir, that you understand, of course, that I'm representing the city now, and of course not you as your attorney.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, Mr. Lucero, we're talking about, as the mayor indicated, the premises at 134 West Main Street, Suite 14 in Trinidad, Colorado?
Yes.
Okay. And would you tell council, if you would please, how long has this restaurant, Mission at the Bell, been at its current location and been in business, if you would?
Up until this point, the restaurant will have been around for about 23 years on February 14th.
Okay. And how long have you been associated with that restaurant, Mr. Lucero?
20 of those years.
Okay. And when did you begin to begin taking it over? That is, taking the restaurant over from its previous owner.
We started the process, I believe, 2 months ago.
Okay. And are you now the owner of that business?
Yes.
Okay. Stated more accurately, you're the owner, or you're the managing member of the LLC that owns the business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, sir, I want to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, have you had a liquor license at that premises for the entire, or has there been a liquor license associated with that restaurant for the entire time it's been in business?
Yes. Yes, sir, has.
And have you been have you been in the business of serving alcohol in connection with that business?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Lucero, how long have you worked at Mission at the Bell?
Almost 20 years.
Okay. And so you've worked there for 20 of the, I believe you said 23 years that it's been in business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you recently, Mr. Lucero, you submitted your information for a background check. And I want to ask you about that a little bit. You have 3 entries, sir, on your CCIC, and I just want to ask you about that.
Sure.
First of all, in 2008, you have an entry for DUI and also weaving.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell counsel, if you would please, there is not a disposition that is reflected on that. Could you tell counsel what the resolution of that matter was in 2008?
Absolutely. It was deferred and dismissed.
Okay. So that is how the case was resolved. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. No conviction and as you said, dismissed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There was a similar entry on your criminal history from 2009 that had a driving under revocation or DUI and failure to drive in a single lane. Could you tell us, please, what the resolution of that matter was?
That was deferred and eventually dismissed as well.
Okay. So also not a conviction. Is that correct? Okay. And then in 2010, there was and this did show a disposition. It showed providing liquor to a minor. And it showed that was deferred and dismissed. But could you tell counsel, if you would please, the circumstances giving rise to that allegation against you, please?
Sure thing. I believe it was the weekend of Santa Fe Trail. We had just opened and we had gotten busy right away. A young gentleman that came in to sit down and eat, and I went to take his order. He asked for a beer, and I went back to get it. I opened the beer and remembered that I needed to ID him, but by that point, the bottle was opened, and I got in trouble for serving an underage minor.
Okay. And I'm sorry, say that again, please.
I believe that was orchestrated through a sting. I guess that's what you would call it.
Right. Okay. And orchestrated may be a bad choice of words. I'm just kidding.
Right.
But it was a sting by the Department of Revenue. Is that correct? Okay. Orchestrated sounds so. And I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So, and for the newer members of council, when the Department of Revenue sets up a sting operation, when someone is alleged to have run afoul of the law, they not only take action against the liquor license administratively, they also give a citation to the person who was working and who was alleged to have sold alcohol, either to a minor or to a visibly intoxicated person. But is that what happened, Mr. Lucero, in that instance?
Yes.
Okay. So that matter was deferred and dismissed. Is that correct, in 2010?
Correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Lucero, just getting a bit ahead of myself, you understand that cannot happen if you're allowed to have this liquor license. Do you understand that, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you understand that you were responsible in all respects for everything that happens on your liquor license. That is, if there are any violations of law, you're the one who was responsible, and you couldn't lose your liquor license. You understand that, sir?
I do.
Okay. And you understand that there's dual licensing. There's licensing with the state of Colorado and also through the city of Trinidad, and a violation of either Trinidad liquor laws or the state liquor laws can result in a loss of your liquor license. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Lucero, how many employees do you have, sir, at the restaurant? 4.
Yes.
And have you and your employees received tips training?
We have.
Have all of you received tips training?
Yes, everyone.
You're all tips certified?
We are.
Okay, thank you. And sir, just so I don't forget, your landlord is Fabric Rental Properties, is that correct?
Yes.
And you have a 2-year lease commencing January 5th of 2021?
We do.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and council members, I have no further questions of Mr. Lucero, and would.
Okay, I'll go ahead and turn it over to council. Ms. Grego, do you have any questions for Mr. Lucero?
No, I don't.
Okay, Mr. Goodall,
I have nothing.
Mr. Ogletree?
I just had the one question that I brought up the last time this was on question 14 on the application. It asked whether or not the applicant, including any members or managers of the LLC, has ever had a liquor license issued to them before, and the answer is no. And so I'm just curious why that is, because I'm assuming if you were involved with Mission at the Bell Inc., that you had a liquor license there, that you were the representative. So I just was curious why that was answered no.
It was answered no because the corporation was formed under my my uncle, and I worked for him for years, but I had no stake in the corporation itself. So okay. I was an employee of his. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That clears.
Yeah. Not a problem.
Okay, Mr. DeBono?
No questions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Williamson?
I had a question for Les, if I may. Les, with respect to the statute, how it's written, the pre-existing or the three issues that have come up under the legal thing, how does that square with the good moral standing in that?
And I will tell you, Councilman Williamson, that moral character, as it's defined, we borrow the definition from the state statutes and how the state defines good moral character, and that generally is reflected by felony convictions. And one who has one or more felony convictions it can be deemed to be not of good moral character. Also, convictions for fraud, untruthfulness, convictions for misrepresentation. So you have convictions for those kinds of things, even as a misdemeanor, it can reflect on the absence of good moral character, or potentially bad moral character. But I will tell you, sir, that when a person has a deferred judgment, or in this case several, and they result in dismissals, then that generally is not in any way indicative of bad moral character or the absence of good moral character.
And just to clarify that, I want to be very clear on that. I was asking as much for a matter of the public record. I want to ensure that that people understand that we are measuring this against a known standard, and that is not a violation of that standard. I just wanted to make sure that's on the public record.
Thank you, and it's a good question, and it comes up with every city council. And but thank you, Councilman.
I have no further questions, Mayor.
Okay. That was really a good question, Aaron. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Lucero, the only thing I wanted to say is, with some of your past experiences, please watch, in the future, because you are on the hook now completely for your business, and you do have that Mission at the Bell has been an excellent business for many, many years. So please watch to make sure that you don't have any future issues, because any liquor violations will come again, will eventually come back into City Council. So absolutely, I don't have anything else other than that. Anyone listening in want to speak for or against the transfer of ownership of the hotel liquor license filed by the Mission at the Bell? Not? Hearing is closed. Council, any reason to go into executive session? I don't see anything. Okay. Could I have a motion, please, for transfer of ownership of a hotel liquor license filed by Mission at the Bell, LLC at 134 West Main Street, Suite 14, formerly Mission at the Bell Incorporated? Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote?
DeBono,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu, Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. In this particular case, we do not have any findings because it is strictly a transfer of ownership of the liquor license. Mr. Lucero, good luck to you in the mission at the Bell, and I know you have good food there, so please.
Very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item 7, unfinished business. We have none.
We got it.
Item 8, which is miscellaneous business. 8A, appointment of a member to the South Central Regional Planning Commission. The last meeting that we had, Mr. Valentine mentioned that we needed someone from council, hopefully, to represent the city council and the city of Trinidad for the South Central Regional Planning Commission. Have any of the council members want to step up to the plate on that and represent us?
Mayor, if there is no other interest, I would be happy to fill that position.
Okay, in some sense, that may be probably a good place for you because you are already on the South Central Council of Governments, and that particular position involves the South Central Council of Governments. Is there anybody else that wishes to be part of that or would like to consider that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to select Mr. Williamson to represent the city of Trinidad at the South Central Regional Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
any discussion? Okay, call a vote?
DeBono,
Yes.
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu, Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. I think that was to abstain, I think, but that's okay. Okay, item 8B, Holy Trinity subdivision preliminary and final plat and development agreement, Diocese of Pueblo. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved?
Second,
Second.
discussion. Georgie, are you listening in? Can you give us an update on that, please?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. Just a quick summary of the complete staff report that was provided to council. The Diocese of Pueblo submitted this application for subdivision to comply with municipal code prior to selling portions of their property. The subdivision includes 7 lots, of which 3 lots will be sold to Kip Hampton. Those lots being 1, 3, and 4. The diocese will retain lots 2, 5, and 6. Lot 7, which contains the Carnegie Library, is owned by the city and is included in this subdivision to provide future clarity of its legal description. The subdivision plat vacates those portions of Beach Street, Short Street, Arizona Avenue, and all lot lines of the original town site lying within the Holy Trinity subdivision. Since the purpose of this subdivision is for conveyance only, the applicant requested waiving the usual development required plans, reports, and performance guarantees at this time. The owners will enter into a development agreement with the city, stating no redevelopment can occur on the site until all the required documents, reports, and plans are submitted and approved, and the required public and private improvements are installed prior to issuance of building permits. And the property will retain the zoning of the Core Zone de Trinidad Historic Preservation Mixed Use District. And if there are any questions from council?
Yes, Ms. Grego?
I think your report, Georgie, and staff's report pretty much clarify what this is all about. So just for, like Mr. Williamson did, This is just to clarify for anybody that's listening. This is just for conveyance or transfer of this property. Once the property starts being developed, then all the requirements will have to be met, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that. I looked through the paperwork that you sent us, and it's really very defined, and it's pretty easy to understand. So I have no other questions.
Okay, Mr. Goodall?
I have no questions. Good job on the presentation, Miss Georgie, and the paperwork was very thorough. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Ogletree?
I agree with the prior comments, and I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Shu?
No questions. Just good job, Georgie.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. DeBonham?
No questions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Williamson?
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
The only thing I need maybe clarification on, and of course P&Z has recommended approval with the conditions, but yet if you look at the insert conditions, there are some denials. Can you kind of give us a little different explanation on that?
I think this is in the council communication.
It was actually in both parts, council communications as well as the paperwork, the bottom.
Yeah, the recommended potential motions, we provide all the options that the council has, either to approve it as it is, approve it with certain conditions added, to deny it, and or to continue the hearing. So we just provide that as 4 options for the council.
Okay. I guess the only thing I can do now is that if it does come forward for any additional approvals, we'll take a look and see what those particular denials might, if they do show up. So that was my question. Any other questions from council?
I have a question. So if we're going to go with the number 2 version of what we're doing, which insert conditions, do we have to say that? No, never mind. I think it's fine. Thanks.
The application that's before you includes the development agreement that we would enter into.
I was figuring that out. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Call the vote, please.
DeBonham,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yeah.
Shu, Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item C, Trust for Public Lands, Memorandum of Understanding. Could I have a motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion, Mr. Valentine?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is just a basic memorandum of understanding so that we can authorize payment to Trust for Public Lands for work done during the planning process. What happened is the partners, before Fisher's Peak became a state park, the partners got together and applied for a GOCO grant in the amount of the total grant is $110,000, with the city providing $10,000 matching, Trust for Public Lands and the Nature Conservancy $25,000, and then the $75,000 GOCO grant. So that was applied for, and then a lot has transpired in between then and now. We have a state park. We have planning that's already taken place. We've had CSU students come down to do work on the park, and we're actually under contract with them. So this memorandum of understanding allows Trust for Public Lands and the city to exchange information and submit their invoices for planning that's already been done. It's kind of a legal document that Trust for Public Lands actually needs within their system. So I don't know if council has any other questions regarding that. That's kind of a brief summary. Hopefully it made sense.
Okay. Ms. Grego, do you have any questions for Mr. Valentine?
No questions. It's just that we're standing up to the promise of $10,000 that we made so long ago, correct?
That is correct, and we were actually the lead agency in the GOCO grant request, so all paperwork has to come through the city, and Cheryl submits it all so that we can get the GOCO reimbursement also, so yes.
I think that's a pretty small price to pay. I have no objections.
Mr. Goodall?
I have nothing.
Okay, Ms. Ogletree?
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Shu?
No questions.
Mr. DeBono?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, no questions.
Mr. Williamson?
None, Mayor.
Okay, I have no questions. Call a vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 9, council reports. Ms. Grego?
Well, I actually have something tonight, you guys, and I just don't want to be considered a yes woman. Just let's keep that clear. I filled in for Mayor Rico last week with the CML meeting, and there were a couple of things I just want to bring to your attention that might eventually affect the city of Trinidad. First of all, there's a National Wildlife Public Safety fee that the state wants to add on to insurance policies within the state to try and mitigate and stop wildfires in the area. A couple of people were upset because they felt that the money or the surcharge was in addition to really high rates in the state of Colorado. But I voted for it. And I'll tell you, I think it's better to pay a little bit extra in insurance rather than having an area be redlined by the insurance company where people can't get insurance at all. And that was the case for part of Los Animas County several years ago. You couldn't insure houses outside the corporate limits of Trinidad. It doesn't affect us directly, but it does have an effect. There was another issue that came up on medical cannabis, medical marijuana. They're talking about using the telehealth system to prescribe medical marijuana like they do for your regular doctor's visits now. That's under consideration by the state. And that because there's so many specific strains of cannabis, there's strains specific to one condition that is very unique. What they're talking about doing, that if you have a specific product, a medical marijuana product that you can't get at a medical facility, that you would be able to purchase it at a recreational facility for the same price. And one more thing, that something it's not going to affect us, but I think we should think about it. There's a grant program that's going to be for Asia, and municipalities will have the option of a for xeriscaping. And I mentioned it to Mike in our one-on-one today, and for allowing extraterritorial water taps, that might be something we should consider, with the caveat that there's xeriscaping or very minimal sod utilization on these properties. Something to think for you guys to think about. And one more thing, I don't know how you all feel about this, but it seems like city council, though we're still doing the business of the city, but really this isn't the most effective way that we should be doing this. I personally feel comfortable going back to meetings at City Hall. If staff is comfortable with that, and if the rest of council is agreeable with it, I think we'd be. I just don't feel we're as effective as we should be. We can't communicate with one another as we should. I mean, it's very awkward. And besides, Rusty's hogging all the motions, and I want to chop him off. No, I'm just kidding. But I would like.
That's it. I'm done. No more motions from me. You just now, damn it.
Yeah, Rusty, don't kid anybody. You know you can't be shamed into anything. We know that already. But it's something to think about, and I know there's some staff that might not. I think we got to think about going forward from tonight is probably when the new administration takes office tomorrow, that there will probably be a federal mandate for masks. So it's something we got to consider. But I'm hoping that as staff and council, we consider that. And I have nothing further.
Ms. Grego, on those 3 agenda items that the CML proposed, can you tell us, is they usually approve, disapprove, or are neutral? Can you tell me or tell us on those 3 particular items where CML as a group stood, or what their recommendations were?
We had the people in more affluent areas of the state, like Aspen and Vail, were somewhat opposed to it. But the only vote we had is on the wildlife mitigation program and surcharging insurance consumers, and it was supported 29-11. The other 2 items that I mentioned were just discussed. There was no vote taken on them.
Even though there was not a vote taken, did CML, the attorneys, did they show any preference?
They did not.
Okay.
They did not.
Sometimes they usually do have something. Maybe they didn't this particular time. Okay. Mr. Goodall.
Yeah, so Park and Recs had a meeting last night. So I got a few things to go over. I guess that we've had some people go on the wormhole loop and just put art up there. No permission, no nothing. And so it was discussed last night and the question was brought to me, what process do we have for individuals in the community who want to place art? What is the application process? And I was not aware of a process that we have in place that someone that makes art and wants to place it somewhere goes through to get that art placed. So it's, Mike, do we have a process in place?
A process per se, no, but we do have an Arts and Cultural Advisory Commission where they are advisory to council. So I would suggest that that's where we start, and let them vet the art and the placement. But what we found in the past is it gets a little bit controversial when staff is not involved in where they want to place it. So a process per se, I can't say we do. So I'll take that into consideration, and we may have a work session item there.
I agree. I think we need to come up with some sort of solution, even if it's just take your proposals to the Arts and Cultural and they bring it to City Council. But I think it's something that we need to get out there into the public, because not only, I guess, did it happen on the wormhole loop, it happened on the sandstone loop also. Is my understanding they've gone in and removed a lot of that. But that's something that we thought needed to be addressed. So as the mayor brought up when we were allocating money for the cover of the swimming pool, he was correct. It was a 25-year deal. So the state is, GOCO has been contacted, and after much discussion, they did come back and sent a one-page application, or I guess you'd call it an application, to be filled out. And once it's submitted, then they'll waive the 25 years and they will allow the pool to be covered. So that paper has showed up, and Marty from Parks and Rec has filled that out, and that will be submitted. So going forward, they're going to start looking at how that's going to go about as far as with retractable to leave the pool where it can be open in the summer, closed in the winters or whatever. But that 25-year deal with GOCO has been addressed. They did send the paperwork to get the waiver of the 25 years that would allow the pool to be covered. So I guess some residents up in the Wormhole Loop area have noticed a lot of people just going to the bathroom everywhere. So the deal was brought up, and I know a discussion was had with Mike about having a bathroom up there. And for us to get a bathroom installed, we would have to pave that and make it all handicap accessible. And the ideal that I had for them was possibly looking at getting a porta potty up there in the spring, and just before we go to any expense of even looking at that, doing all that work to make a handicap bathroom up there, possibly just getting a porta potty in there to see what kind of usage it has and if people even use it. Because if people are halfway, 3/4 of the way up that loop, they're not going to run all the way back down to that porta john or to a bathroom just to go pee. The people are going to just whip it out and go wherever they're at for the most part anyway. So that was discussed. I guess pickleball, and I don't know if anyone that knows about pickleball or what pickleball is. I guess at the community center, they did put a couple of courts, line them out where the basketball courts are. I guess it's becoming a big deal, and we're getting a lot of response back. And I think up by Noah's Ark, where it's presently at, that basketball court in the spring, they're talking about maybe paying another court in there. But some conversation was brought up possibly at Central Park up by where the gazebo was put in that back area in the future, if this pickleball craze, we'll call it, continues to grow, possibly another pickleball court or something up there. Anybody play pickleball? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, me either. So I guess I'm going to have to investigate the pickleball. So that was pretty much it. Again, Parks and Rec just expressed their extreme gratitude to City Council for all the support and recognition of their hard work by the new Parks and Rec position, outdoor rec position that's been filled and whatnot. And they just asked me again to say thank you to City Council. So that's all I have. And again, I will reiterate, I'm not making any more motions in any more meeting, Mr. Diego. It's all on you now. It's on you.
Ms. Ogletree.
The Space to Create Oversight Board, there's not a lot that's been going on with that because we don't have enough members. I talked with Audra about that, and she explained that there's an ad in the paper requesting people to apply for that board and for other boards that closes on January 26th. But I just wanted to get that message out that we need people who are interested in being involved in the city's oversight of the commons area for Space to Create. And while things are kind of in a lull because of COVID, it would be good for us to be getting done what we can get done. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention is that the mayor and Councilwoman Griego and I had the opportunity yesterday to tour the new hospital addition and modernization, and I was amazed. It was really and truly, it is spectacular. Over last year, I spent a lot of time in different hospitals, and it was as nice or nicer than anything I had seen in other places in the creek. I'm so excited about it. In particular, I wanted to just note that the Griego family has funded an infusion suite where people who are in treatment for cancer and other conditions that require infusion treatment, they will be able to do that here rather than having to travel up to Pueblo or the Springs or somewhere else. And I just wanted to note that and thank them for that, because I know that will mean a lot to a lot of people.
Bravo, Griegos. Bravo.
Mr. Shu.
No, I don't have anything to report at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. DeBono.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say that I started about 10 days ago, mentioning about the Trinidad City Council accepting the citizen interest forms from citizens within Los Animas County to fill I think I counted 22 different vacancies for various boards and commissions. So even on Saturday, I've mentioned it. So hopefully by the 26th at midnight, we'll have a lot of acceptance.
Thank you. Mr. Williamson.
Mayor, I don't have an update. I would like to apologize for my tardiness. I had some technology issues getting on.
Okay. From my end, just to mention to council that decided to have on February the 11th our State of the City like we've had in the past, and it'll be at 6 p.m. So I'll give you some more information as we proceed forward as to how we're going to handle that. I'll get with Audra and Mike and staff and see how we do this. This is going to have to be on Zoom, so it's going to be different, just to let you know. Attended the tourism board meeting. One thing that they were talking about that there was some pretty good discussion on was advertising in the Raton recreation guide that they have over there. And they found out it was interesting because their reach goes into Texas, pretty deep into Texas, Arizona, which currently our guide does not go that far. So I think they gave the approval to move forward with that. So just the additional outreach will help our recreation here in Trinidad. And I think they were going to go with a half page to go with that. So they're reaching out to try to get some additional interest in what's going on here locally. Also on the 15th, Mr. Valentine and I, were part of the group that met with Senator Bennett at the college. It was kind of a fresh morning, but it wasn't too bad. We couldn't get in a whole lot of questions because you only have an hour's time, and by the time we went through 10 people, Mr. Valentine and I were kind of on the back end and kind of rushed to give information or get our questions out to him. So one was I'll let Mr. Valentine talk about what he brought up. I brought up my concern about the Southwest Chief and the funding that's still sitting on the Senate's desk. I don't know where it's going to go now that we have a different administration. I think it's positive because, as we all know, that President-elect Biden is very he's really big on trains. So I think there's a good chance that we can probably get some additional funding for the state of Colorado and the Southwest Chief. There's a $25 billion fund that's sitting on their desk. There's also a $2.1 billion that's sitting as part of that, or actually a different part of that. So just kind of waiting to see what the Senate will do when they take that up this year. Also, I just wanted to mention, like Ms. Ogletree said, that she attended, as well as Ms. Grego and I. We were at the hospital ribbon cutting yesterday, and what a fantastic facility. And in addition to our community right now, this is exactly what we need. If anybody has, hopefully then none of us have to go out there for a purpose, but if you get an opportunity to go out and at least see what we have now, I think you will be thoroughly surprised. The facility that's out there, it's like you walk into some place where you think that's in Denver or some much larger city. They really did a tremendous job putting together the entire project. And I know, Ms. Garrett, I think you were part of the board at the time. I want to thank you for any input that you had, because I think you guys did a terrific job, and thanks again. I wanted to mention that Ms. Grego has talked extensively a couple of times about trying to meet in person. And I know that we send out a list for anybody on council and staff that wants to get the vaccines. I don't know who decided to or not to, but I think it's important that anybody, especially those of us that city council and staff that are part of regular city council meetings, that if you have decided to get the vaccination when it becomes available, that would be great. Those of you that have are questioning whether you get it or not, try to reconsider and get comfortable with what you're doing, because this will allow us to get back to normal as normal can be. So please reconsider if anybody who is not considered to get the vaccination at this point, because it'll, like I said, it'll allow us to get back to probably in-person meetings sooner than later. That's all I have right now. Mr. Valentine.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of council. I guess to tag on to what the mayor said when we visited with Senator Bennett, we were last in line to bring up any concerns. I actually asked him, number one, if he could fix Washington and start there. But anyway, what I asked, for any kind of help or anything toward housing, broadband, and any kind of EDA grants that we've went for. I told them that this COVID has been a curse and a blessing, because people have figured out that they can work remotely, so they're moving out of the urban areas into towns like us, where it's really great to live in. But with that, we've got a bit of a housing crisis, and then because they want to telecommute, we need some high-speed broadband. So they're going to put me in contact with several people. I left them my card, and we'll see where that goes, but we'll have that discussion. We are, to tag on to that, we're trying to put together a housing summit of sorts for our February 22nd, tentatively February 22nd, but that's what we're shooting for, to just have some discussion on housing with DOLA housing and OEdit and just CHAFA may be involved with. I see Debbie Wagner's online. She's helping with reaching out and making contacts so we can get that going. But and then the other thing I brought up with Senator Bennett was our EDA grants and the criteria that we went for a grant and we didn't create enough high-paying jobs. So I asked him to please consider looking at that on how we can take advantage of some economic development money from the federal government without having to create high-paying jobs. We're a rural community, and some of our jobs are just service industry. So that's all I have on that matter. And then just wanted to briefly update you on our water and slip lining infrastructure project that we have, and council approved one of the last payments tonight to the company that is doing that slip lining. They've finished everything up. We're not releasing the check until we get the final videos, but those should be forthcoming videos of the inside of the lines to brand new. I could bring that to council so you can see the inside of a slip line sewer main, but anyway, we've got a good chunk of our old town from basically Main Street to 4th and High to Oak slip line. We found a lot of surprises. We have some better mapping now, understanding what's going on with all the videos that we did and the slip lining. So that was long coming, but very, I think, successful project that'll add at least 25 years to those sewer mains, if not more. So that was good. And then our sewer trunk line phase 2, the contractor is now on board. They received, we were waiting on delivery of pipe. We had to postpone because due to COVID, pipe delivery was delayed. So they are in town trying to get started on that. So that's a good one to see. And other than that, Mayor, a lot going on. We're doing what we can to keep everything going. And that's all I have.
Mr. Valentine, being that we have this slip lining project, we're done with it pretty much at this point. If council wants to look at another section of town, what section would you say that we would move forward in what direction?
So with Jacobs, they are doing an analysis now. Basically, from the core of Trinidad out, that's how our mains were installed. So I would say the next section would either be to go further south, another section there, or come into town and move our way basically north from Main Street. But hopefully with Jacobs and all the data they've been collecting, we can come up with a really solid approach. And that's part of our strategic planning that everybody is working on, Mayor. So staff would give a good recommendation to council once we have that. So
okay, well, maybe later on in the middle of the year or sometime we'll have some information on that so that we can kind of begin to decide, can we and if we should move forward with it and when. So it'd be good to know. Okay, because I think that's one thing that's been on all of council's mind is infrastructure. So it's really important. Go ahead, Mr. Goodall.
So I know you sit on the housing with DOLA and OEDIT and everybody else. Will we have our new ordinance in place allocating some of those funds, and will those make a difference when we talk to these organizations about housing and having some sort of initiatives in place?
When you say your new ordinance, I believe you're speaking of the incentives that we discussed.
Yes, sir.
Will it be in place? It'll be tight. We've got to come up with the criteria for that. But hopefully, and we're bringing together this forum for discussion. We also want local, contractors and developers involved in that, so that they can explore all avenues that are out there for them to develop. So I'm not a promise, but we're working hard at it.
Well, do you think it would make a difference when we go into speaking with DOLA or any of these other organizations about any other fundings they may have available? Could that be used for matching grants or any? I don't know what they have available for affordable housing.
Right. Well, and with COVID and everything, there's a lot of incentives out there. So anytime that you're able to show that you're willing to put forth some funds, it does make a difference. So yes.
Thank you.
You bet.
I think the big thing on incentives, like I said, it may require a couple of work sessions, because that's going to be, we're going to have some pretty thorough, thought on how to move forward with, and of course recommendations, from staff is going to be important, very important, from their recommendations. And so anyway, hopefully we can come up with something that will work. Does council have anything else? Mr. Downs?
Mayor, thank you. Mayor, council members, I don't have anything to report on. The only thing I want to say is regarding the subject of meeting in person again. I feel a need to communicate by way of memo. So I'm just kidding. I will send you a memo on my thoughts on that. I don't think it's really appropriate for me to, weigh in publicly and be kind of looking like I'm taking sides with one group of council members versus another. I will send you a memo and give you my thoughts. I do want to say though, and I'm sorry my phone is ringing in the background, but if everyone has a chance to get vaccinated that wants to be vaccinated, and if everyone has a chance to have the vaccine, then I think that those who wish not to get vaccinated, it's kind of like assumption of the risk in the law. That is, if you choose to not get vaccinated, that's your choice. And if those who do get vaccinated, everybody who wants to does get vaccinated, then I'm sorry, I didn't say that very well, but I don't have an objection to doing that. The only problem is if we really know the efficacy or how efficacious the vaccine is, if it's 100%, and also we have to have the public invited back into meetings when we start having public meetings. But I don't mean to talk too much. I will send you a memo for my thoughts on the subject.
Yeah,
that's
worth some discussion. So as far as
right, absolutely. I know it's not up to me, but I just want to weigh in on this subject, and I will do that by way of sending you guys my thoughts in a memo.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody have anything else to bring forward? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Call the vote.
Bono,
Yes.
Kettle,
Yes.
Vieira,
You kept your word.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Good evening, and try to stay warm. It's a little cold out tonight.
Yeah.
Hi, Deb.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Debbie.
Bye, Deb.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.